If I had $0 and I needed to make $5,000 fast, this is exactly what I would do. And this is just based on what I've actually done to generate tens of thousands of dollars, literally just selling my ability to write and my ability to help other people make money online. So I'm going to show you guys what I would do step by step. Let's assume that I'm broke. I'm at $0. And this is basically going to be my whole strategy that you guys can copy to get to $5,000. And also, let me just really quick make a note. If you can get to $5,000 a month, you can just literally double your actions to get to $10,000, which I know that's a lot of people's goals. So let's assume that you have to get to $5,000 first, and then you can work to get to $10,000. So step one, obviously, you're starting with $0. You've got to sign your first few clients, leverage a flywheel of content, which I'm going to show you guys how to do, and then hit $5,000. And I'm going to break this down into really actionable steps of things that make you money today and things that make you money in a few weeks. We'll say the long-term game, so that you guys can actually differentiate between what you should be doing right now to make money now and what you should be doing in a long term to make money ongoing, because they're kind of like different games. And I feel like a lot of influencers make content about this and they don't really differentiate the two. They just tell you, oh, go make YouTube content, but nobody's going to make a sale their first day of making YouTube content. So you need something that's going to make you money right away. All right. So the tools you're going to need to actually follow along with this video, and this is just what I'm going to be using, is Google Docs. That's the main one. Email. So you have to have an email address, which you do, I think, if you're watching on YouTube. And then YouTube, Fiverr, Gamma, School, Google Sheets, which is literally just like Excel, and Make.com. That's more on the delivery side. So don't get too overwhelmed. Start with Google Docs, email, and I would say Fiverr, Google Sheets, Gamma, YouTube, all those other ones come into play later for the long-term money making. So step one, this is what you're going to do on day one. Day one, you're actually going to do step one and step two. You're going to pick a make money skill. So for me, I'm going to say copywriting. This is what I picked 18 months ago when I had $0 and I didn't have any way to make money online. I didn't really know any skills or anything like that. I just picked copywriting and I kind of learned it as I went. So this is not that you need this skill pre-ready to sell. You just have to pick one. All right. Now we're going to go to step two, which is find clients fast. This is where you're going to be using email, warm network, and school, and maybe bonus if you want to. I'm going to make sure this plan works with or without Fiverr, because I personally didn't use Fiverr, so it's an option. It's not the only one. So when you pick a skill, like I said, you don't need a college degree. You don't need to have done it a billion times before. You don't need all this experience. You literally just need to be committed to that one thing. It could be ads. It could be YouTube content. It could be editing. It could be thumbnail design. It could be sales. That's the kind of stuff you should be looking at. What do actual full-fledged $1 million businesses need, and how can I fill that gap? How can I help them solve this problem? So maybe they need a sales rep. You can learn the skill of sales. Maybe they need a copywriter. You can learn the skill of copywriting. These are going to help you get a 5K in 1 month. If you're not in the make money space, you don't have a skill that helps businesses, it's going to be a lot harder to get to 5K in 30 days. So if you need money in a pinch, I would recommend picking one of these skills. Now, you're going to have to create an irresistible offer as you're finding the clients. So how are you going to find the clients? Well, I'm going to scroll down here to money now. So first thing we're going to do is email. That's going to help us make money now. In the same phase, we're also going to be creating YouTube content. Now, this is not going to make us money now. See, it's going into money later. Didn't need to spell content, right? It is going to make us money long-term, though. All right? So email, what does that look like? That's going to look like you emailing at least 30 people you know from either, let's just brainstorm some places you might know. College, old jobs, networking events. A lot of you guys have probably never been to a networking event, so ignore that if you haven't. If you have, you know people from that. High school, church, maybe? Why is that a little dash there? Let's see. Instagram, friends of friends, local community / businesses. Because we're trying to make 5K in 30 days, I'm not going to be super, super picky with the kind of people that we're actually sending emails to. All right, so this is an actual email that I sent to somebody, and I knew this guy from a friend of a friend. So he's one of those connections that somebody just connected me with him and told me I should do a podcast with him. And so this is before I even started copywriting. And when I launched my offer, he was one of the people I reached out to see if he had leads for me. And so this is what I said. You guys could copy this word for word if you want. Hi, Zane. I hope you're doing well. Just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the podcast a couple months ago. I wasn't even prepared for how much I learned from that. I had a lot of good feedback on it. Okay, I paid him a compliment. That is a nugget. If you want short form content, edited and everything, just let me know and I can share it via Google Drive. Value. So I did a podcast with him. Now I'm offering if he wants short form content, then I'll send it to him just to make him look good on his socials. Also, shot in the dark, but do you know anyone that might need a copywriter? I started copywriting a few months ago and been getting really good results with my email open and click-through rates. I just finished ghostwriting a book for Ted Carr as well. I'm new to it, but if you think of anyone who might be looking for help with their email, sales pages, or posts, I write copy for all 3 of those, and I would be happy to work for free for a sample email to see if it's a good fit. Might be a shot in the dark, but I figured you have a pretty epic network. Thanks again for podcasts and those nuggets I got to share with my audience. So I tied it back to the end. I call this a sandwich bitch. I tied it back to the podcast at the end. So that's basically what I mean by email. Now, since we don't have a ton of time, let me go back to some of the other things you can do. Sending an email, think of all these people. You know at least 30 people, I promise you, if you go through your followings, if you go through your friends' followings, if you go through your phone book, if you go through your parents' phone book, these are all things I've done. You go through like every person you've ever had a conversation with or anyone that knows your name. That's the criteria. They need to know your name. All right, so that's like your warm network. Now on Skool, this is where you can start to find people that are a little bit colder and start to warm them up. And now Fiverr, I'm going to talk really briefly about that after Skool, but that's basically just a place that like you can literally have people come to you with projects. And I think you can run some ads on there, which is cool as well. So let's go to new tab. Let's go to Skool and let's discover some potential leads. All right. So let's go to discover communities. All right. So what I would probably do if I was at like $0 and I need to make 5K is I will find a niche that I'm really, really comfortable writing for. So that would either be health or money. So let's just for the sake of like, because I'm not known in the health niche, for the sake of like beginner friendliness, let's go through health. I actually think that it's easier to assign people in the make money space because I know it better. And I think a lot of you guys know better as well. But I want to make this a little bit harder. So I'm going to go through this niche. Now, let's see, women in the menopausal niche. Let me see if I can do something with like diabetes. Because I'm type 1 diabetic and I might be able to just find a lead that's like teaching something with diabetes. So this guy, $125 a month. I've actually already worked with this guy, so that would be cheating. I already built out his whole community and like helped him with his branding and everything. But we want to find a community that is either massive and free or paid. And then we're going to just basically join it. So diabetic community, ladies of type 2. Okay. We need something that is like relevant. Type 1 Thrive. So I got 3 members, unfortunately. Let's see. Actually, that one on the first page looked kind of interesting. So this is a pretty cheap way to get your foot in the door. So lead the future of diabetic care, get left behind. Okay, be the provider everyone talks about. Oh, this is for providers. So see, this is why you guys want to do a little bit of like research, basically. And I'm not going to have an advantage like with providers because I'm not a provider. So let's see. 4 members, 81 members. Oh, A1C reset challenge. Interesting. That could be cool. It's also like really cheap. Blood sugar reset. Let's see what this is about. Learn how should we get your blood sugar numbers. Okay, cool. Let's just do this one. Let's start a free trial, even better, so we don't have to pay anything. Now I'm going to go straight for some engagement. What would you like to see in this community? Is this having a poll of recipes? Okay, there's a unmute here, but type 1 diabetic and obsessed with fitness. I would love to know if you have any recommended workouts / training routines. Sometimes I find my blood sugar high in the afternoon, which can... Okay, cool. So basically the whole point of this, guys, it is true. I am type 1 diabetic and all that, so it's true. But I'm just trying to engage. And then I'm going to be able to make a post, I think. Wow, congrats. And once I'm like up on her leaderboard, I'll be able to basically like pitch her and she'll be a warmer lead. I could just go ahead and start a conversation with her. Oh my gosh, I love this arrow. Cool. Okay. Now let me see if I can just go straight for the pitch. Okay. let's just get love the communities. This is what you guys could say hypothetically. You compliment them first, and then you're going to go for some kind of like a question that gets the conversation going. I've had type 1 diabetic since I was 6. Okay, so this is literally just a conversation starter. It has nothing to do with copywriting, but it is going to get conversation going, and then I can warm her up. So I never pitch cold leads. I always like to have a conversation going, build a little bit of relationship, figure out what they're trying to do with their community, and then go for the pitch. All right, so we just did that. Now let's go back to our sheet. Right, so the next thing you would do is Fiverr if you wanted to. This is like all stuff that can get you leads really fast. So we did the email. Warm network can also include like some phone calls if you know people really, really like well. We did school, so that's somebody that will probably start a conversation with. I would recommend you guys 5x everything I'm showing you. So I'm showing it to you to make it actionable. If you're gonna go and do this, and you can do all of this in one day, I want you to email at least 5 people. I want you to go and contact people. Some of the other ways that you can contact them is like Instagram DMs, phone calls, like find 5 other ways to contact people in addition to emails. Go into school, find at least 5 communities, join them, comment on posts, make posts, DM the ownership, build a relationship. And then the bonus is Fiverr if you really want to like speed up this process. All right, so let's go to Fiverr. Oops. All right, and this is where you would create a profile. You would basically post something about the particular skill that you've chosen, copywriting, sales, like I said, there's a bunch. And that's how you would basically start to get leads. And they would just, click on your profile. You might get a $15 client. But the benefit of Fiverr is that like people from all over the world use Fiverr, and they usually are there for a cheap product, right? That's our interpretation, is that like, I don't want to use Fiverr because it's cheap pay. But the benefit to it is that you can upsell those people. So you're basically getting paid to do that initial bit of outreach. Whereas like if you send somebody a free email on social media, you're not getting paid for that. Fiverr, you might only get paid $30, but that could turn into a $3,000 client if you do a good job and then you upsell them. Because a lot of people on Fiverr, like the bar is so low for quality work that if you do a good job, you get them the result they're looking for, they're going to be really keen to work with you again, probably even, I don't know, maybe take it off platform or something, but you can make a lot more money when you upsell them and you do a good job in that first bit of work. So that's what I would say is like, you want to first go ahead and like submit applications to projects, maybe launch some kind of an ad campaign, advertising what you do. And then that's going to start bringing in some quick leads that you upsell. And you're going to use a proposal template, which I'll show you right now. So this proposal template is something that I give away to all of my copywriting clients and my freelance clients. And so if you guys want to check that out more, book a call below and I'll show it all to you totally free. But basically what you would do is send them a proposal. And this is where, when leads reply on school, when leads reply on Fiverr, when leads reply on your email, you're going to get on a call with them. You're going to go through a 2-step call process. You're basically going to do a discovery call first where you find out what their goals are, what they need. And then you find out what their budget is. And then you get them onto a sales call. And I have a whole script for this. And this is where you really figure out, is it a good fit? You give them a proposal. They can kind of play around with the pricing and you guys come up with a custom game plan. And from there, you sign a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 client. So with this exact proposal templates, I've signed clients everywhere from $1,500 to $15,000. My highest ticket client was actually $16.5K. So this proposal works really well. And the cool thing about it is it helps you upsell people because the way it's structured, the pricing psychology makes like the clients want to upsell themselves, which is just genius. But yeah, so let's see. We're probably about 10 days in, right? Now, let's say we've done all of this outreach. We're following up. Now, you want to make sure you have a good offer, which is the proposal. So I just show you that. Proposal is going to include a couple bonus items. But the way you're actually going to build out this irresistible offer is by the feedback that you get on the calls. So you have to have a skill that you're initially advertising, but then the feedback you get on the calls might be that people actually need help with their CRM, not just help with their emails, or help with their ad campaigns, not just their ad creatives. And like by getting on calls with people, you'll be able to figure out what the bottleneck is. And as long as you know how to fake some confidence, you can upsell those people for the additional problems they tell you about on the call. You do not need to know how to do everything before you sign a client. You just need to know how to do it before you actually do it, right? So you can sign a client, then go learn how to run ads or go learn how to write copy and then deliver it. So long as you know how to do it before you actually do it, it doesn't matter when you sign the client, right? Okay, because it literally takes a day. So don't overthink that part. That's what trips up most people. That's what stops most freelancers. All right, next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna deliver and scale. So let's go back, let's look at some of the other things you need, right? So to scale, you should start making YouTube content that is about people or about, things that you've done. So YouTube content ideas for beginners. We'll just say for beginner freelancers. That could be like 1, how I built my first sale page. How I'm designing XYZ clients webinar. My email strategy that just sold XML. So you're basically, the whole concept behind this is you're documenting stuff. If you literally don't even have clients, just document how you're getting clients. Because the thing is, your clients are going to be searching for a lot of the keywords in here. And if you link your calendar right below your YouTube videos, like I always do, you can get done for you clients from that. Okay. Now you might get some people that want coaching as well. That's fine, but really optimize for the done for you clients. That's where the money is. All right. So YouTube content, like I said, that's money later. School content as well. So school content is actually, funny enough, the exact same as YouTube content. So it should all be how I did this, my strategy for this, the thing that I did to make this much money, whatever it is, whatever your specialty is, you're going to make school content about everything you make YouTube content about, and you're going to post it in the schoolers community. So let's just go to school again really quick. The schoolers community is this community here. The only catch here is you have to have a community to be in this schoolers community. So that's why I recommend you guys have a community just to process payments. And this is where when client pays you, you can use the school link to collect your money. It's a lot easier and there's less fees than some of the platforms out there as well. But if you do this, then you're also going to have access to all the business owners in here, and you can just share your results, what you're working on. And it's just going to help with that long form or that long-term client flow. So school goes into this content category. All right, guys, day 10's homework is get some freaking coffee. No, but anyways, if you guys are doing those 5 steps for each category, like I said, 5 emails, 5 school posts, or 5 school communities rather, 5 pieces of outreach outside of email. So that could be Instagram, school, phone calls. And then let me pull this up again. So you're basically, your warm network, school, out, and Fiverr if you wanted to. So that's actually the only things then. The 5 warm network outreaches, 5 emails, 5 school communities. If you're doing that every single day, you're following up with those conversations you're starting on school. You're following up with the people that are responding to your emails, which won't be everyone, but some of them. And you're following up with all the other warm outreach you're doing via phone calls or Instagram or whatever. You should have a client by day 10 because you're going to be booking in sales calls. When people reply to those emails, you're basically going to see what it is they need. And then from there, get them on a call and be like, all right, well, let's chat about exactly what your goals are and then figure out a game plan. You have 15 minutes for a call today or tomorrow. You want to always specify when you're talking about a call because otherwise psychology of it changes. So if you say, do you have 15 minutes for a call? Or do you want to jump on a 15-minute call? People are much more likely to say no. And the reason is because if you're saying, do you have 15 minutes for a call? They're wondering, do I really want to get on a call? That's what they're wondering. If you're saying, do you have 15 minutes for a call tomorrow at 6 p.m. or Wednesday at 2 p.m.? They're only thinking about their schedule. So psychologically, they're actually thinking about different things. All right. So you're more likely to get a call if you specify the times. And then once you get them on a call, you should figure out what they need. Like I said, 2-step sales process, and then get them on a sales call where you give them that proposal, and that's where you sell them. So by day 10, you should have around 1 client if my math is correct, because you're a beginner factoring in for some error. You're doing 5 pieces of outreach. You're probably going to get 1 to 2 people to respond to each of those 5. So that means between 3 to 6 people responding a day. And then from those 3 to 6 people, you're probably booking in 2 to 3 of them. And then from those 2 to 3 calls, you're probably closing 1 out of 3. And so, that's the math there. You might have more than 1 client, but you're going to keep doing that. And now what is cool is after day 10, some of the other stuff starts to kick in. So between day 10 and day 20, the flywheel content starts to get some traction. Flywheel content is your school posts. So your school posts and YouTube content. That's flywheel content. You could consider Fiverr flywheel, but I'm not big on Fiverr. I just think it's good at the start. Now, delivery. I'm just going to put a little section for this. This is where you're going to use a couple platforms. Gamma, Google Docs, Google Sheets. And then down here is where you're going to start using Make. This is just using some AI to help you with your process and mostly for the research. So delivery, Gamma is a great platform because here, let me actually just show you guys what I use it for. You don't need the plus version. You could just do a regular version, but you can help create content for clients really quickly, and then you just go and you edit it so it looks good, it makes sense. But I've used this to generate, for example, like a whole webinar. So let's just see. I think I did an example for a client. Yeah, so this one. So I had my client share something. I believe this is from his actual content. So this client just shared some information about his niche, about his content, and then I copy pasted it word for word. It's like, this is literally from a YouTube video. The last 10 years I've watched the optical world shift from right below our feet. It's like, this is literally just him talking to a YouTube video. And I think what I did was I just like wrote the audience, optometrists and optel retail professionals, and I gave them a tone. And then I picked this light theme. Let's do this one, Rush. I've never used that one before. And let's see what it generates. It's also going to use AI images, which I'm not a big fan of. So let's just do stock photos instead. All right, generate. Let's do what happens. Now, this is just to show you guys, you can use this on both the delivery side and also on like pitching clients, because it's going to help you create really top tier looking content. And it's going to help basically like visualize things for clients, whether it's a webinar or whether it's a YouTube video or whatever. It gives you like a layout. This is how the optical world is changing. The patient changed, we didn't. This is so cool. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Like that there's an actual picture of an eye. See, like if you use AI images, it won't create that. But yeah, now there's an actual retail store. Oh, this is so good. See, this is like for a very niche kind of client. It's creating exactly what they need. And so you can use Gamma to just help you with the delivery side of things. All right, back to this sheet here. So that's Gamma. Google Docs is where you would just write content. So let's say I sign a client who needs maybe like a YouTube strategy, or yeah, let's just go with that, YouTube strategy. Maybe I'm going for like copywriting with like a social media angle. So I'm going to do YouTube. I'm going to spell it right, first of all. So I'm going to do YouTube strategy, probably make that heading. And then I'm going to insert like table. Like this is just showing you guys how easy your delivery should be. So maybe we decide to do Monday content, Wednesday content, Friday content, and then like Saturday content. I will probably like say this depends on the niche, but Monday maybe it's going to be short, and then I would put the topic. So short, let's just say it's for let's say it's for like a weight loss niche, ab routine. And then let's say we're going to do a long, that's going to be, long is going to be 3 recipes. Wednesday, let's say we're going to do short about gyms maybe. And then we're going to do a long about leg workouts. And then we're going to do a short about mindset. And we're going to do another short about fitness wear. And we're going to do a long form, my story. And then we're going to do Saturday. We're going to do long about, let's do like podcast form. And then maybe like static post, pitch. All right. And now the way I would deliver to this client is I would link them here. Another way you can deliver to a client is to create something similar to this in Google Sheets, which is what I mentioned before. But every time you write a post, you would just write it in a separate Google Doc and link it to those words there. And then your client would basically get this, and they could just click on each one as they're uploaded. They would get the actual copy. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, like the delivery is pretty simple. Like it's just literally these free platforms. And then make.com is where you start to systematize things. So let me show you guys that real quick. Okay, so I just went and screenshotted an automation. I couldn't get into my account, but this is like pretty much what I do. So basically you would have a trigger for the automation, and it would have a prompt that told ChatGPT what information to be looking for. So you'd be plugging this into a ChatGPT language model where it went and pulled information from your clients, whether that was like YouTube content, like if your client does YouTube, then it can pull their recent videos, transcribe them, take relevant facts, and then it can give you those top key pieces of information that your clients shared this month for you to then write emails about, or for you to then write ads about. Or like usually what I have in my automations is it does that for my clients' YouTube videos, pulls their relevant information. It also has a list of the top performing emails I've written based on like actual data of open rates and click-through rates. It uses those to compare against the content they've written, extract the best ideas for new like email content, and then also like compare that with what's trending in the current marketplace that my client is in. And so what that does is it allows me to just shortcut that process of doing a bunch of research and just focus on writing content about what my client's actually talking about. And I have a bunch of like prompt instructions so that it only takes like verbatim words of what my client's saying as opposed to making facts up, because ChatGPT is known to just make stuff up. So it'll pull the actual verbatim words that they're saying, and I can use that to write content that's relevant to them that week and relevant to their audience, and is more likely to perform well because it's based on top performing content. So that is like to get way ahead of the 5K and to actually scale to like 30, 40, 50K. You will need that to like get to that point. But for the first 5K, literally all you guys need to do is like email a bunch of people you know, DM and call people you know, go to business events if you want to meet more people, but that's optional. Go on to school if you don't know anybody, or if you want to know more people, outreach to them, send them like an idea of like what you do and justify why it's relevant to them. Like the one way that I did the email that I think is really good is I basically just like asked if that guy's saying knew anyone who needed copywriting, and then I talked about what I did and why it was relevant. And I knew he was a business owner, but I wasn't directly pitching him. So what that does is it protects the relationship that I have with him. And then he actually was interested in copywriting for his own company, but he didn't feel like I was like pressuring him to say that. So it was a much more natural kind of like business relationship. So that's what I do, is I like to ask people if they need something like that. Sometimes I'll go straight for a pitch if I'm on school or something, and I'll send a Loom to do that. A lot of times my strategy is just like, let's warm up the audience as much as possible, and then let's pitch them once they're a warm lead. And the other way to do it is like some like joint venture collaborations. If you know someone that has an audience, or you know someone that has a bunch of customers that maybe need what you're doing, you could offer them an affiliate. You offer them a percentage of each sale in order for them to promote you. I did this when I first started copywriting. I basically offered this guy, I think it was like 10% or something of everything I made, if he would let me promote my services to his email list. And he did. And that was awesome. Like I think it got sent out to like 700 really, really good business owners. And that can give you like a really good kickstart if you're just getting started. And I know you're thinking you don't know anyone, you don't have a network, you don't know who to send this outreach to. I promise you know more people than you think. And if you need help brainstorming that game plan to get to 5K, book a call below and I will talk to you guys soon. And I'm going to be making a really cool video next about what I actually do with the money that I make. So stay tuned for that. I'll talk to you guys soon.